Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of AirwaySim. Um, yeah, it's been a few days since the last episode, and we've been making some pretty solid progress. So, I think from future episodes from now on, I want to make less content about making routes and kind of just showing you the result of the routes that we made. And as you can see, our profit is finally starting to really skyrocket. 25%, I would say, is a very solid margin, especially for a passenger airline. If we take a look at our company, what's it called? Our growth kind of over different quarters, we can see how our revenue really started to spike as I'm guessing a lot of our routes started to kind of max out in image and that kind of thing. So, since last episode, the probably most notable thing is we have a new base in Denver. Denver is one of the most enjoyable bases in AirwaySim, mostly because of the extremely low amount of competition that is normally there. I mean, every world is different, but very often Denver is kind of left overlooked, which kind of lets you do a lot of really great routes to Denver. Also, it's pretty comfortable to schedule in. It has overnight flights, while also once you run out of overnight flights, you can just fly direct and get about 3 flights per day on average without too much trouble. There's no, the routes are almost the exact length to make getting 3 flights per day really easy. And that lets you just kind of fly on a lot of route pairs like this, where there's just a lot of extra demand. Of course, once we get enough planes, we're going to fill all of this demand to most of these cities. As you can see, there's definitely enough for 2 or 3 flights per day from an A320 or 737 sized aircraft. As you can see, we have a mix of like 37 like 600s, I believe. Yeah, 600 and A321s and just whatever planes we could get our hands on. So it's not too pretty in that sense. These are all 7 day scheduled as well. So if we go into our scheduling and sort by what's it called, Denver, we can see that so far we've bothered to 7 day schedule every single aircraft that we are flying here. And we do have some more aircraft to schedule today. I will schedule some aircraft in every episode, I think. Um, that's a pretty decent idea, at least. Anyhow, with that being said, um, yeah, what is the main growth of our, what's it called? Our higher profit? It's mostly just scheduling many new planes. Off camera, I'm basically constantly buying and scheduling aircraft whenever I can. And if we take a look at the result, we now have what's about 50 A320s, 50 A330s, and or 40s, and 25 737 NG, which we have decided to include in our fleet due to their availability on the used market. The used market is becoming a bit of an issue though, because if we take a look at my preferred types, let's just refresh the market just to see how many there are. We can see that that's not a lot of NGs. I doubt there's any A320s available on the market. If yeah, so very very soon we're going to run into issues with acquiring new planes, which means in terms of new aircraft, I've decided to. Where's my aircraft on order? I've decided to place in orders for both the A320 and NG, Boeing 737 NG at the same time, just to increase the delivery rate of new large-sized aircraft. And you may also notice this. What is this? Why am I ordering tiny aircraft, Cessnas 208s and Pilatus P12s, little like 8 or 10 seater aircraft? Well, the purpose of these is just to let us get more leasing slots for a very low cost per month. Um, yeah, for whatever reason in this game, you only can order 3 aircraft at a time until your airline grows in terms of number of aircraft. So, a pseudo like way to emulate having more planes is just to order tiny planes, right? That cost you very little to own and can enable you to have new leasing slots, which of course is pretty important. So this will kind of hopefully let us grab more NGs and more A320s. Of course, it's always better to do this earlier into the game, but I didn't have any money because I started in a relatively small and humble base of Charlotte. Anyhow, that being said, another driver of our profit is simply the route image going up. If we take a look at San Francisco, which is our long haul base, we can see that its profit is constantly going up. And if we sort by quarters, we can see how the increase in profit in San Francisco is probably really driving our growth here. 27 million to 88 million to 211 million in operating profit per quarter. Um, Yeah, San Francisco is, of course, the home to most of our very large aircraft, and that is the driver of growth. Now, we've been playing mostly this passenger world because it has the most interesting stuff going on, but if we take a look at our cargo world, we can see why we haven't been playing it too much. Now, if we take a look at our company pre-tax profit, and kind of probably go yearly at this point, and not yearly, we can go quarterly here, as we can see, we gain route image, we become profitable, we open new routes, and we're no longer profitable. And this cycle will continue to repeat until the airline is at a certain size, which will take at least a few years. As you can see, we grow a little bit, we schedule new aircraft, and we become unprofitable as soon as we schedule new aircraft because the route image is nothing. And if we take a look at the route image, I'll just show you guys. Yeah, so here's the route image of our new aircraft, and we go into our aircraft and take a look at how much money they're making. Negative 8 million. No, or not 800,000. You know what I mean? Like this plane has 3.1% load factor. Also, as you can take a look, our most profitable plane is now our 777 freighter. So it looks like the route image on these routes finally hit 100. And this was kind of an experiment to see how much a 777 freighter flying domestic cargo would make. And it looks solid. This is pretty good result. Yeah, 1.7 million from a 777 freighter. So looks like we might have to start adding more of those into our plans because that is extremely solid. And I'm guessing the reason why, hold on, why Orlando, which was our other short haul route. No, Orlando has also hit 95 route image at the same time, right? So I'm expecting that 777 to make even a little bit more money by the time it hits 100%. This Orlando flight has a little bit more competition. I see. But I mean, this is kind of showing us the direction we should move in, is that we should be doing a little bit more domestic cargo with very large freighters. Let's see if any of those are available on the used market. Of course, we can't do it right away because we'll go bankrupt if we add any more money-losing flights. So we have these very cheap 777 freighters available. And then extremely expensive ones for lease. I'm wondering if I could message this airline asking if they'd be willing to lease me these aircraft, because then I could actually acquire them off him. Otherwise, what is this? New message. Oh, just a mentoring request. Okay. Because I need a source of 777 freighters, and of course I can't afford it if everybody's charging maximum price. 300 million means per week I'll be paying a crazy amount for just the ownership. See, the leasing cost here is 300,000, but this plane was leased for a list price of, I believe 150 million, something like that, which is perfectly reasonable. At nearly 400 million, this would be pushing like 800,000, something like that, which is just a bit too much. Yeah, way too much, not a bit too much. And hopefully the music isn't too loud. Anyhow, let's go back to our little passenger world and start to open up some flights. And excuse the sniffling, I'm still a little bit sick, but I'm doing better than I was a couple days ago, which is good. Anyhow, what is the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make another long-haul 7-day out of San Francisco. Short-haul 7 days are very time-consuming and tedious to make on camera, so I'm going to avoid doing that from now on. I'll just tell you when I've done it, like I've done in Denver and that kind of thing. And yeah, let's go ahead and kind of just sort by, let's say, longer than 3,000 nautical miles, and just take a look at what kind of demand we still have available. Oh, I put this in keyword, not range filter. Anybody who noticed that is probably face palming right now. And so I want to make a very extremely long haul 7-day schedule. And the main reason for that is, what is this player doing? A345, but it only has 230 seats. That will not be profitable. Even when you're flying extreme long haul, you want to fly more seats than the bare minimum. Because, yeah, the economy is just not good enough. The fuel costs, the route costs are going to be astronomically high. And if you're carrying the basically minimum amount of passengers, it's not going to look too good. So let's see if we can make a good overnight flight here. Oh, we can. That is perfect. Let's see what time is optimal. I want to obviously not hit 5 because that's not going to be very happy. So if we can land at 6, that would be perfect. And yeah, I mean, I wonder. We have a lot of A340 200s. I'm not sure they have enough range. Let's take a look at what aircraft I have available right now. Ultra long haul is not that profitable, but I'm running out of other routes with uncompeted demand, so it's a bit of a problem in that sense. And of course, let's sort by no route schedule to make this a bit easier. And yeah, let's see. We have A340 200s. These have 7,300 nautical miles of range, which isn't quite enough. Let's see. 7,500, 7,500. Yeah, 7,000. I see why he's using the A340 500 now. Let's see how many of those we have. If we have 7, we can go ahead and make this route. If not, oh, we don't even have one. What other A340 200X? Oh, I still have no routes scheduled. Of course, none showed up. I need to figure out what's the type of A340 I have the longest range on and see if I get... Okay, this is 7,700 nautical miles. That would be enough, I think. Let's see, A340 500. How many of those do I have? 2. And these have 8,000 nautical miles of range and only don't seat very many passengers. So yeah, I think Singapore is just a little bit out of range. I think I can eventually order a 7-day schedule or 2 of planes specifically for that route. But before then, it does not seem economically recommendable to fly that far just for a little bit of open demand. I do think I'll try to do it at some point, but just not today. Instead, let's try to find a route to Asia to open the day, because that's a good way to make things work. I wonder if Algiers works. I know it has enough demand. I've checked that route before already. Oh, Cairo would be interesting. No, there's not quite enough demand. I guess Doha would work too if there's enough demand. Only 170. They really need to update Doha and a few other airports, because these airports in real life have an insane amount of long haul demand. I'm sure they fly more than a single 767-200 to San Francisco from Doha. Even like routes like Karachi have enough demand like this, but I won't open this because there's no cargo demand, and if there's no cargo demand, it's really hard to make money on a route like this with our current planes, especially with non-custom cabin setups. Oh, Tel Aviv, yeah. Okay, that's perfect. The main reason why I want such a long route is I want to either fly it overnight or right out of the morning. It kind of lines up the timings. Let's see if the overnight works. The overnight, I think it has a timing to work, but it's not very favorable because it's going to be a 5 a.m. flight. So I don't think I'll do that. Instead, I think I'll just stick it straight in the morning here at 6. That might work a little bit better. Okay, well, that works. It's not perfect, but that's one way to start out the day. Let's go ahead and start adding these in, I guess. One thing to note about these A330s and whatever I've been adding is I have not customized the seating. It's too expensive to redo the seating right away. So instead, I just fly them in their default configurations, and their default configurations are extremely poor. Once you can afford to redo the configurations, I would highly recommend it, in the sense that you'll probably increase your profits a good 10%, especially if you're flying on open demand and uncontested. Of course, if there's competition and your flights aren't full or close to full anyway, there's not really a point, because you're not going to get more seats with a better configuration. The better configuration just allows you to fit more seats. So yeah, that's kind of something to keep in mind here. One thing I will say is that the timing of these flights is just extremely inconvenient. Yeah, excuse me once again with my sniffles, but oh, Ho Chi Minh is great. Yeah, I kind of forgot about the fact that Ho Chi Minh generates a lot of long haul demand. Yeah, this should be perfect actually. If we land in like if we take off on like Wednesday, 22:10, this should go overnight, I would imagine. Yes, this is just like Singapore, except actually in range, so that is perfect. And yeah, this is just taking advantage of the like 6,000 nautical mile flights. I find are still very profitable. Trouble kind of starts over 7,000. Um, I mean, that's not like set in stone, but that's like a general rule of thumb. Of course, you can still make good money flying 7,000 nautical mile routes if the situation is right. I just haven't exactly determined what that situation is. Um, I think the situation is if you can get belly cargo on your 7,000 nautical mile flight, which of course is difficult in its own right because you're going to need a plane with ridiculous payload range capabilities. Of course, those planes do exist, so that is perfectly fine in that sense, but um, yeah, if you can manage to do those things, belly cargo, decent sized plane, not like an A340-500, um, you should be good. Yeah. I guess one thing that is very interesting about AirwaySim, um, airline economics compared to real life is in AirwaySim, the complete king that dominates kind of every single game is frequency economics. So in the same city, if you have a choice, you'd always rather fly more frequently instead of a larger plane. But frequency economics lose when there's no competition because flying open routes with small planes is very relatively inefficient as it is IRL. That's why the 777-300 is so much more preferred than the 777-200 in real life, because the economics of it are so much better. It's still one plane, yet it seats like 100 more people or something. I'm not sure in regular configurations how much more it seats, but I think they've definitely sold more 777-300s at this point than they have 200s. And that's just the economics of the situation, where in this game, the 777-300 is basically an extinct breed. You will never really see serious airlines flying the 777-300 unless they've basically established a monopoly in their base and they're just having fun now. Like, I would love to fly the 777-300 though. It is definitely extremely efficient per seat, especially for the time it comes out in the game. It's basically a 747 sized aircraft on 2 engines and like 70% the fuel burn. Maybe a little more than 70%, but actually that sounds pretty close. Maybe the 777-8i or whatever does a little better. Or not the 777, the 747. I mean, this is actually 1640. I don't know why I'm struggling with the time so much. I could do a longer flight here. So let's see what kind of longer flight I can fit in here. Let's do from 6,000 nautical miles to like 6,800 because that's the kind of range I'm looking for. I think this will go in nicely. I think Manila has competition. Yep, don't wanna mess with that yet. There will come a point in the game where I'm gonna go compete with every single like route pair that has enough demand for me to deem like worthy. Was I looking at Islamabad or Tashkent? Okay, good thing I checked because I was about to open a route to Tashkent when it was what's it called? Islamabad, which had the demand I need. I wonder what the demand between Islamabad and what's it called? San Francisco is so high, but I mean that's probably enough for 2 flights eventually, so that's great. I guess I'll do that at some point. This is kind of wasting an overnight flight though, because this is an overnight capable airport, but I'm sure there's more we can find. Oh no, this flight is too long actually. Okay. So we need to adjust our range. Maybe cap this at 6,200 and go over 5,800, something like this. Okay, we still have good options, but much more limited now. I don't think there's enough demand anywhere this far down the list. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. I think especially if Istanbul is a no-go, which I'm surprised by a little bit. I guess Istanbul is not accurately represented by the game's kind of demand capture. Whenever the demand was captured, Istanbul might not have grown to kind of the prevalence it is today, but I'm sure once again there's probably at least a daily flight between Istanbul and San Francisco, right? I mean, maybe not. Maybe I'm just completely wrong and there's just not as much long-haul demand as I think, but That is completely possible, especially since in real life, right, flights don't collect the demand from the like daily. You know what I mean? Instead, if there's one flight per week to a certain destination, people will just take that flight instead of not fly if it's not on the correct day or something. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah. I'm not exact. Like, yeah, the game has interesting comparisons to real life, but of course is not perfect in any means. It's just one of the better um, sims for realism out there, uh, at least when it comes to aircraft performance and that kind of thing. Other than that, it's just fun. You know, I enjoy it. It's a chill game I can play with kind of a no regards to trying to maximize my like physical performance, if you know what I mean. Like a lot of the games that I usually enjoy are like live, like either like MOBAs or RTS or like any of those genres, right? I can't play RTS games well, but uh, yeah, those require your constant attention. FPS games, right? Extremely demanding for your attention, whereas this game, it's more of a thinking man's game, right? So you can play slowly, take your time, and kind of enjoy the process a little bit more. And yeah, just because you can make chill little 7 days like this took a long time because as the demand gets thinner and thinner and thinner, right? When you open a new base and there's demand everywhere, you can knock out a 7 day in a few minutes. Because you just click on the airport, open demand, go ahead and open the route. And as the time goes on and it takes a little bit longer to find the remaining viable flights, I'm sure I could squeeze probably 7 or 8 more 7 days worth of A330-40 flights out of San Francisco, especially as the demand grows. But for now, we're kind of getting close to what I can tell is the maximum number of A330 flights. I'll still continue to order these off the used market because getting wide bodies off the used market is, of course, very efficient per plane order. So, yeah, anyhow, it looks like we're missing an A330-40. So, hopefully, we can grab one off the used market. Let's see if my used market has refreshed, by the way. And it hasn't. Anyhow, that's it for today's episode. Hope you guys enjoyed and see you guys next time.